Donald Trump, back to our friend in the White House, has launched nothing less than an attack on American democracy. This week, he sacked the acting Attorney General, Sally Yates, for refusing to implement his travel ban. In an astonishing attack, he accused her of betraying the Department of Justice. But I think it's Donald Trump who is actually betraying democracy. He drafted the executive order in secret, keeping his own party in the dark. He's appointed his strategic advisor, Steve Bannon, to a national security position reserved for military generals. And he's reportedly gagged 3 key government departments. If Donald Trump continues to violate democracy, I think we're heading towards a new era of civil disobedience. In 1955, Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat on a bus in Alabama when the white section was full. Her brave and principled act of resistance, yes, I can see you shaking your head, Nick, and I know you would have been resisting with her, became a symbol of the civil rights movement. Federal employees are already defying Trump's orders, but I think more and more are working out that to serve their country and their conscience, they will need to disobey their president.
So there's a few things in your intro. So firstly, I don't like any form of kind of, when you mentioned about gagging departments, I don't like trying to restrict media. That makes me uncomfortable. I don't understand the likening of someone on a bus and essentially an employee. You've lost me on that one.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I, as an employee of somebody, often you will disagree with the direction of travel of your organisation that you're a part of, and you absolutely have a responsibility to air those concerns, make sure that they're heard. But then when your boss, your leader, essentially says, I hear your concerns, I don't care, I'm doing it anyway, I think that it's wrong of you to then turn around and essentially directly put an entire department in contradiction and defying your boss, the leader, in this case the president, because I think that I agree with you, we can all have a conscience, not a problem, but if your conscience is so against the leader and he doesn't or she doesn't listen once you've raised your concerns, then my conscience would be telling me to just leave.
You know, I hear what you're saying, Michelle, but I think this isn't just about people's conscience. You know, it's not just about people's moods or what they're feeling. It's about the Constitution as well. Sally Yates, for example, when she explained why she wasn't willing to endorse the travel ban, she said because she felt it went against the Constitution. And actually, the hypocrisy here is that Donald Trump's own people advocate having a principled stance when it comes to sticking up for the values America's built on. This is what Sally Yates said in her confirmation hearing, which Trump's future Attorney General, Jeff Sessions, approved of. Just have a look at this.
Do you think the Attorney General has a responsibility to say no to the President if he asks for something that's improper?
Senator, I believe that the Attorney General or the Deputy Attorney General has an obligation to follow the law and the Constitution and to give their independent legal advice to the President.
And just to come back
that doesn't change my view.
You said you don't understand the link I'm making between Rosa Parks, for example. Sally Yates doing what she said she would do, what she pledged to do in upholding the law of the United States, has now faced personal sanctions. And actually, even though the State Department has this dissent channel where diplomats who don't agree with policy can voice dissent, and that's been tolerated ever since the Vietnam War, this government has said that they want people to leave if they don't agree with them. And people are having to pay the price personally to sticking up for what they should be sticking up for,
If you look at what she actually wrote in the letter, I think she muddled up 2 things. She said, I'm responsible for ensuring that the positions we take in court remain consistent with this institution's solemn obligation to always seek justice and stand for what is right. At present, I am not convinced that the defence of the executive order is consistent with these responsibilities, nor am I convinced that the executive order is lawful. Now, it seems to me, if you're the acting Attorney General, it's perfectly valid for you to say, I don't think this is lawful.
And it won't stand up in court.
I don't think this is lawful.
Department in a position.
But I'm not sure it's their position to say, because I disagree with you, I'm going to stand up against it. And I think she muddled up 2 positions here. And I think on the first one, yes, to stand up and say this is illegal, and I'm the Attorney General and I'm telling you it's illegal, is perfectly valid. I think for her to stand up and say, I disagree with it and I think it's morally wrong, That's not her job. Yeah. And if she wants to do that, then you resign.
And do you think that then she deserved to be told that she was betraying the government and that she was weak on borders and weak on whatever else? The level of personal attack the president is launching.
But you're going to get this from Trump for the next 4 years. He's vicious about anybody who disagrees with him. That's why I'm interested to see what happens when he meets Prince Charles. But you have to distinguish, I think, certainly in British law and the British political system, between what you disagree with and what is illegal.
But you're going further, as I understood, and the reason I shook my head is how you can liken Donald Trump to the civil rights movement. I found it breathtaking. But you're actually suggesting that all federal employees, if they don't agree with Trump, they shouldn't carry out their duties. Is that
not if they don't agree with him personally, because there will always be presidents you don't agree with, but if they feel that he is violating the Constitution, that he is asking them to act in a way that is unlawful, then yes, I think that's their responsibility. I think that's their responsibility.
Right,
I mean, it's up to their individual conscience.
A family that's just about surviving in Wisconsin won't get its benefits checked because the people running the benefits department in Wisconsin don't agree with the Constitution.
You know, they might get their benefits checked today, but what happens next week when Trump decides that, I don't know...
Well, I don't know, but at least at the moment they're getting their benefits checked.
The point is, this is the president...
You've just not thought it through.
Of course I've thought it through. Can you see where this president is taking the country?
I don't know, he's been in 2 weeks, I've no idea.
Exactly, 2 weeks. 2 weeks. I totted up 23 scary measures he's already taken.
We won't go back over the travel ban, but for many people, the travel ban is welcome. There's a lot of Americans who think it's a very good idea.
And a lot of them are absolutely outraged and are protesting in the streets.
Nick, a lot of people will bring back the death penalty. A lot of people will do all sorts of things. That doesn't mean to say it's right.
No.
And you seem to be... You're hooked up this year, only for a period, because you're in the majority. You're hooked up on this belief that because the majority say it's right, it's got to be right. It's not. There's a moral base in this all. But I think if you're a state employee and that is what your department is saying to do, then you do it. Or you resign. Right, or you resign and go do something else.
Or in Yates' case, you're sacked.
But if your leader, in this case the Attorney General, says this is illegal and we're not going to implement it, I don't think there's any obligation to you to resign.
And by the way, I'm not just talking about refusing to do your work. People are voicing their dissent on Twitter despite having been gagged. I think that's absolutely the right thing to do. Trump's getting increasingly irate about it. But I think that, people are acting with their conscience. And I think that we will look back in future and they will be on the right side of history, Nick. And which side will you be on?
It's not just some federal employee executing some lowly order to the benefits. This is the acting Attorney General
who says
that these executive orders are ultra vires. Now, as you don't speak Latin, that means beyond his authority, beyond the authority
I'm with Greg on that.
Of the president.
I think the way Greg outlined it is absolutely right.
There is no time limit to the number or quantity limit to the number of executive orders Donald Trump can carry on signing. He can go on doing this ad infinitum for 4 years.
But in this letter,
he tried to bring back torture already.
She said, I think it's unlawful.
In this letter, she unfortunately muddled the two positions.
She'd have done far better
to have said, this is not legal.
You're putting way too much on that. For when she said this is not legal, it doesn't matter whether she thinks it's wrong or not. I mean, the things are all conflated. She thinks it's wrong because it's illegal.
Fine,
that's how I took it.
But she should have said, I'm the Attorney General. It's my job to decide what is legal.
And to uphold the Constitution.
To uphold the Constitution.
She did say that.
Yes, but she then muddled it up by her political position, which she didn't need to do.
I agree.
I mean, to call this a betrayal, she has been a loyal Attorney General. She's been a loyal state employee for 25 years. Yeah. During that time, I'm sure there have been other presidents who did other things she disagreed with. But there's no suggestion that she disobeyed any orders then. The point is she felt this was a violation of the Constitution. She disagreed with it, and I thought she expressed that very eloquently.
Well, you go back to the Iraq War here, and you remember the legal officer who resigned because she said what you're doing is not legal.
Yeah, and I have no issues with that. If you're so conscious, if your conscience is so against your employer and the direction of travel and the culture and all the rest of it, you do. I've said it at the start and I'll say it at the end. You make it known, and if they don't listen, why would you even want to be there anyway?
But just to bring it back to what I originally wanted this debate to be about, I think that it's beyond the individual disagreements between Trump and various senior or not so senior employees. This is about American democracy. I think the direction he's taking the country is really scary. And if you add up all of the things he's done in just 2 weeks, do you know, he is detracting from Democrats. He wanted to bring back torture. He's appointing people to positions that they shouldn't be in. He's been threatening the press from the first moment he's been in office. Yeah. This goes against the very country that he claims to be so patriotically
It's all un-American. Hear, Afua.
Amen to that.